the knowledge, the experiences that have been accumulated over the years. And this little thing, intellectual capital, can grow and shrink. For big companies, they rely mostly on this. For small business starters, they rely on financial. And then they grow this dimension by time. If you look at this alone is composed of three main components. First one is human capital, experiences, know-how, work-related knowledge, and so on. Innovations, qualifications. They have structural capital, their databases, their network of lessons learned, and so many procedures and policies and documents and the culture that are in there accessible. And they have what they call the reputation, relational asset. The relational asset is your ability as an organization to interface with all your stakeholders in order to facilitate your work. And for a projectized organization, this is one of the most important aspects for success. For indeed, projects are delayed or failed mainly because of interface with other stakeholders. There is a nice book, which I again call you to grab and read, called The Knowing, Doing Gap. Although organizations will have built a wealth of intellectual capital through these three components, and yet, with all this knowledge, with all the experiences, with all the wisdom that has been growing over the years, you still see the organizations failing. The reason is there is a big gap between what people know and what people do. What organizations have in terms of intellectual capital, experiences, knowledge, and the application of that into the day-to-day running of business, processing of projects, implementation of projects. And in his book, in their book, they think that people who are fully engaged in an organization have better use, better employment of their knowledge in their daily practice, and this is done through the head, hands, and heart. Three main components to show that you really are engaged in your business. The thoughts is in there, the feelings that you belong to this place is there, and this is translated into a behavioral practice. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. John Maxwell. Projects, history. Basically, if we look at the history of projects or project management, it has evolved over the years. Originally, the style of leadership was an authoritarian style. The worker is only a tool. And in here, you're only commanded. There is low recognition. Do as you are told. And there is so little knowledge within the workers. You only had experts on top of them pushing the masses in order to create the pyramids and other projects like this. In a later stage in history, the worker became a team member. He is no longer a tool. And the leadership style moved from authoritative to collaborative. The leader here listens to the workers. And in recent years, there is what we call the enabling leadership style. And in here, the worker is an asset. Just like we spoke a little while ago, that the intellectual assets are the most important assets of any organization. It's the people, their knowledge, and their experiences. And in here, we command, we listen, we create more leaders. There is what we call the knowledge worker, with high recognition and high engagement. And in terms of leadership, 1840s, the great man theory, trace leadership theory, contingency theories, and so on, transformational leadership theories. We'll be talking about leadership in a little while. Paradigm shift. Usually, when you spoke to people, what really motivated them to go to work? Most of the people are motivated by money. This is actually a very old classical theory in motivation. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, people look for security. They look for shelter. But towards the top, self-actualization level, they look for meaning. And meaning means personal growth, recognition, contribution, and challenge. My friend in here was in an interview last week, and we were talking to someone over the Skype and asking him questions. And he said to him, excuse me, you have two projects. You have one so little, so easy, back in the desert. And you have another one that is so complex, so large, but inside the city. Which one would you choose? Naturally, you'll choose probably the easy one, the one in the desert. No interfaces, no obstacles. He said, I'll take the one in the city. Why? Because I love challenges. Engineers today who are creative and people who build this world are the ones with courage to take the challenge. So meaning, people look for a meaning to themselves, opportunities to grow, appreciation of what they do and contribute, recognition, and the sense of challenging tasks for them to bring out what they have inside them in terms of knowledge and skills. This is what we call money takes people to work, but motivation makes them perform better. You do not want to just take people to work. You want them to perform so that you achieve creativity and success in your projects. Understanding engagement. Basically, employee engagement, I'll move from this into here. You have a stream, and you need people to be within this flow. You get people who are bored, people who are not engaged, people who are not with you in the vision, and so on. With this self-actualization, people feel that they have a meaning, feel the recognition, feel that they are of value in contributing to the achievement of the organizational vision and mission. This actually is the basic classification of all employees within any organization. There are three types of employees. I'll start with the not engaged class. These people, they're not engaged, are the ones who come on time, but at the same time, just before the end of the day, they wait in front of this little thumb, to press and go out. They spend their time doing their tasks, but by the end of the day, if they have tasks that big and time is over, they say time is over. They just leave the office and switch into family style, family mindset, family atmosphere, social networking, and so on. They have nothing to do. They forget all about their job and their office. These people are not creative. They will give you their time, but they will not give you their head. Remember the head, heart, and hand? They'll give you probably a bit of the head and a lot of the hand, but nothing of the heart, because they do not feel emotionally attached with the work environment. And we'll see why these people exist. Those people are the engaged class. The beauty of this is they are so creative. They come not on time, they come before the time. Probably on the spot. If it starts at 7, they come at 7 sharp. By 2:15, time is over. But they have a couple of tasks to finish. They'll never leave their work. They will stay there in order to finish it before they leave. They look at the processes. They look at everything they do critically, risk-based thinking. They look critically at what they do and look for improvement opportunities. These are the creative ones. These are the ones which bring success to the organization. Actively disengaged. Not engaged is, okay, I'll live in this environment, but actively disengaged. There is emotional, mental, you name it, cultural dislocation between these people and their work environment. And not only that, they have a so negative mindset that doesn't just reside in there, they spread it around. Why do you spend your time killing yourself doing this work? Your time is over, you should leave. Nobody is going to recognize you for doing a better work than you are doing now. You shouldn't do it. So they just go around, spend their time talking, spend their time, they spend company time reading newspapers, looking at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and so on. These are the most dangerous group of people that exist in the organization. Now, why do we have this small, this big and small? Actually, Gallup, a research company, has made a significant research, and they said that these people can be up to 17% in an organization, depending on the area in the world. Now, 17% of actively disengaged people is a great danger. People can migrate from here to there, depending on leadership style. If you look at this, these people here, my manager ignores me. These are the ones that are what we just mentioned in here, the actively disengaged. When the manager, the leader, ignores his people, this means that there is no communication in the workplace. And therefore, people tend to retreat, they sit back, and they do not give the company and the work environment their head, heart, and hand. And that's why they are so negative. The second, my manager focuses on my weaknesses. This here is the big circle, okay? These are the, if you go back in here, this is ignores me completely. This focuses on my weaknesses. At least there is some kind of communication between the leader and the employees. However, the leadership style is so critical, it just focuses on the negative aspects of a person, of the employee. And in here, my manager supports me. My manager recognizes me. My manager is a friend. My manager appreciates what I do. Now that is the type of leadership style that can force people to run from here to there, or from here to there, and eventually to there. You can come as a leader into an organization where a lot of people are truly engaged, but because of your leadership style, you push them into here and eventually into there. A successful leader is one who exercises his leadership skills to push people into here and then into there. The 1 Minute Manager is a fantastic little book, which again I advise you to buy and read. You can read it in a couple of hours. He mentions 3 basic functions of a manager. The first is the 1 minute goal setting. You sit with the employee, you agree a target, and then you monitor. After a week, a month, or whatever the agreed time is, you sit again with him. A 1 minute reprimand. This is where you reprimand the person for not accomplishing the task on time, or to the required level of quality, for example, or to the scope. And then there is a 1 minute appraisal. Whenever a person does something great, he needs to be appraised. He needs to be said, thank you very much, you've done a wonderful work. you can see in his book, he writes a very nice statement. If you want to get the most out of your people, catch them doing something right. What we usually do, we catch them doing something wrong. We never look at them when they do something right. But whenever someone fails in something, we are there to punish them, reprimand them, and criticize them. And this is the style of leadership that pushes more people into the actively disengaged area, which is too dangerous for the organization. So engagement drivers, you need to have connected through relationships. You need to be contributing. You need to feel free to express. You need to feel growing and having fun. And in here, 15, very good. Components of strategic leadership, you need focus, inspire, and communicate. Communication, the human connection, is the key to personal career and success. So motivation pushes you into engagement and eventually into productivity. Belbin, it's a great theory of team role definitions. It's a fantastic book, you can read about this. He has about 9 different types of members within any team. Any team will have these 9 roles. But he grouped them into 3 orientations. People will usually be thoughts-oriented, or will be people-oriented, relationships, or will be action-oriented. That means that some people have a tendency within to generate thoughts, to give you opinion, while others are more capable and skillful in creating relationships, not necessarily giving thoughts. And others are really practical and so helpful in getting things done. Therefore, within any team, you need these 3 types of people. The thoughts-oriented, people who can generate ideas, give alternatives, maybe find a final solution comparing these alternatives. And you need people-oriented members to put the team together, grab skills from outside and put the right team for that task. And you need action-oriented people because eventually thoughts need to go into action. We usually have all of these within us, but for everyone, there is prominence, dominance of one dimension or one orientation over the others. A leader who is not able to recognize this can put someone, a thoughts-oriented guy, into an action-oriented task. And what happens in this case? He's a thoughts-oriented, but he needs to do something. So he wants to analyze every step. And the task will never get done. Similarly, if you put an action-oriented into a thoughts-oriented task, he will just jump to conclusion and does the thing with so many mistakes. So it's very important to understand your people. We'll jump this one. We'll go into here. Therefore, leaders are actually coaches. Coaches are persons who are leaders, but at the same time enable their employees, their followers, to explore the potential within them, the possible within them. They are able to walk themselves. And here, this fantastic book you can find in Jarir for about 20-25 dirhams or reals. He mentions what we call the GROW model. People need to feel the goals, define what is to be achieved, so that you create the shared vision we spoke about during the shopping experience with my family. You need to understand the situation, reality. My wife and my son have to understand my financial limits, their needs, and therefore create a project matching these 2 together. Options, discuss options available and when. These are the 4 important components for any employee to feel the value and the importance of his role contributing to the organization. So, strength-based coaching. When we make, in any organization in strategic management, we do what we call the SWOT analysis. We look for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Current thinking says this is wrong. When you try to identify weak aspects of your personality, you will have to spend a lot of efforts trying to eliminate that weakness and raise it and convert it into a strength. Current thinking says, no, look for what you are strong at. This is your natural tendency. When you have somebody who is thoughts-oriented, this is him. He's been brought up mentally, psychologically, physically, this way. So identifying strengths and pushing the person through those strong points he has. Successful people discover what they are good at. Successful leaders discover what others are good at. 12 disciplines of leadership. These two great guys have a fantastic book for you to grab again. And in here, I just mentioned these 2 points. Clarity, caring about people. People will never feel engaged unless their leader cares for them. And this is the key message of this book for employee engagement. 5 levels of leadership. Positional leadership. Somebody got promoted. I am a leader because I was promoted yesterday. Yes, your employees will obey you and will follow you because they have to, not because they like you. Permission leadership. This depends on relationship. You, as a leader, from your position, create relationship. So people love to work with you. Relationship-oriented. Production, where results are important. You set the example of achievement so that people follow suit. And then you have the people development and the personhood respect. Basically, a leader needed to energy, effort, and thought.